Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh, and I'm really glad to be with you here today. And I'm glad that you are with us, whether it's on the radio at CKLU 96.7 FM here in Greater Sudbury or online at cklu.ca. We're streaming there through the Radio Player Canada streaming, you could say app, but they offer streaming. If you just click on the logo, you can stream us, and then also you can download the app itself, take us anywhere, anytime, listen to us on your favorite device. So you can also not only listen to this show, you could also listen to all the other great programming that CKLU, our campus and community radio station that's been around since 1984. You can listen to all the great programming from this station as well. So again, glad to be with you this morning. And we're also coming at you live on Facebook, facebook.com/Sudbury News, and youtube.com/Sudbury News. So we're streaming on both platforms currently. Hopefully, sometime in the near future, we'll be able to stream on other platforms as well. Not that there's that many people on these other platforms, but we'll be able to simultaneously stream on our website, on Facebook, YouTube. Is it Twitch? Billy, is it Twitch? Is there a...
There's a Twitch. Big streaming. Yeah, that's the one.
So it's going to be on Twitch too. All kinds of stuff. Anyways, so we'll be able to get out there and on many platforms that exist. But for now, Facebook is the number one used platform. So we're grateful for that. We're grateful for all the people at Facebook, the moderators that help to keep Facebook going. And we're grateful that they're allowing people to like and follow the page as of late, because that really does help when people can like and follow something they like and they want to follow. And I really appreciate them allowing that to happen. It's a great feature, and it would be wonderful if it was able to continue. So, Billy, how are you doing today? Are you looking forward to a little bit of snow that we're going to be getting today?
I'm going to say no, because I kind of had some travel plans, and I know there's some people planning to come here. So, it's always it's a road factor, and I'm just, I haven't quite developed that love for doing things out in the snow. I kind of lost it when I was about 11, and it hasn't fully come back.
Oh my. Yeah. You know what? I got to say, I really agree with you in so many ways on that one. But let's just get diving right into what we can expect today. And then we will also, give the forecast for the upcoming little while. And looks like it's downgraded a bit, though, thankfully, from what it was. I'll just give you that spoiler alert. But more to come in terms of weather, sports, and headlines. And our guest today, Billy, we're going to be discussing with you. Make sure to like, share, comment, and all that stuff on social media. We'll be right back with the weather right after this. Yes, and as usual, I was a little bit late in adding my screen here. So, but there it is. Good. We're good. Hopefully it will come up now. I might have to do something else. And yeah, I'm going to have to do that again. It's all the technical things on the background here. But here we are. Sudbury Weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. Lands on our Sudbury.news website. And there's going to be some big announcements coming up in the new year. I know I was talking with Dario Zulich. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the sports segment, about a big announcement that, he's going to be looking at. but I won't reveal it. So anyways, spoiler alert there. But we are looking at expanding and looking at partnerships with local businesses to help them get the word out for their products and services, along with possibly even expanding what we're doing here in other communities. So there's a lot of cool things going on. But for now, we're going to be talking about the weather, and it's currently -5 degrees, feels like -13, humidity's 88%. Today, increasing cloudiness, periods of snow and local blowing snow beginning late this morning. Amount is 5 centimeters. The wind will be 30 kilometers, gusting to 50. -1 will be the high. The wind chill will feel like -15 in the morning, and then -8 in the afternoon. Periods of snow tonight and local blowing snow. Amount again 5 centimeters. The wind will be 30 kilometers, gusting to 50. Temperature steady near -1. Wind chill near -8. And for Friday, it will be flurries. Local blowing snow in the morning, amount of 2 centimeters. So it's looking anywhere between 5 and 12 centimeters between today and tomorrow. The wind will be a little bit lighter. It'll be 40 kilometers an hour in the morning. Temperature steady near 0, and the wind chill will feel like -7. So again, you got the high of 0 tomorrow with a few flurries. Then Saturday, chance of flurries 60%. -2 is the high. Sunday, chance of flurries -2 is the high again. Same day, basically, Saturday and Sunday, they're forecasting for. And then Monday, pretty much the same, a little colder, a little less chance of flurries, but -5 and 40% chance of flurries. Then Tuesday, chance of flurries, high of -9, 30% chance of flurries. So looks like they're pretty much predicting there's a good chance of flurries for the foreseeable future. Our satellite, you can see basically that rolling in, as I just lost my page, and I will have to get it back, and hopefully that does it, and it does. There you go. So that's what the satellite view looks like. The clouds are just a rolling in, and they're coming in right over us. And you can see that activity coming from the west on the other side of the Great Lakes, over the Great Lakes. And you never know, once it hits the water, what it does. It can do all kinds of strange things. So, but for now, we're predicting that we're going to get some snow over the next couple of days. So your Sudbury weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca, lands on our Sudbury.news Facebook page. For all things weather, you can visit SudburyWeather.ca. And we'll be back with some sports right after this. Yeah, and Sudbury Sports, brought to you by Sudbury Sports.com, which is Randy Pascal's website, where you can find all things Sudbury Sports. He's one of the best gems that Sudbury has. Been around for a long time, been on the show many times. We used to do his podcast on Mondays and Fridays. He joined us live. Mondays was his pre-recorded podcast he'd do on Sunday night for all the things happening over the weekend. Then all the things that happened during the week we talk about on our Friday segment, and then talk about what's going to happen on the weekend. It was a really great system, but then COVID hit and the show stopped, our Sudbury Sports Talk show. So it would be really great to kind of revive something. He came in the studio the one time and we did like a whole show segment, because basically once you start talking with Randy about sports, you could talk for a whole hour. It doesn't matter. Like there's so much local sports going on. But today we're just going to be talking about tomorrow's game with the Sudbury Wolves versus the Mississauga Steelheads. The Pack is back at home Friday night, which is tomorrow. And tickets are still on sale, so there's still tickets available for everybody. It's a 7:05 puck drop. It's the Christmas holiday fashion, I guess. And then Saturday, the Pack bounce. Oh, sorry. The last game they played on Saturday. It wasn't the last game they played. It was the second last game they played on Saturday against the Colts. They came back to win 5-4, but then they lost 7-5 when they played them again. Quentin Musty is on a 15-game point streak, and he's, I think, 2 games away from the record of the most games by a Sudbury Wolf with points. So Friday's game is sponsored by Best Tech. Will be on hand with prizes and giveaways for fans who wear ugly holiday sweaters. I think all my sweaters that I have could fall into that category of least ugly. I don't know about holiday, but Santa's also coming to the barn on Friday. So the Mississauga Steelheads come to town for the second time this season. They'll face off against the Wolves for the third time, with the Pack winning the first 2 contests. So the Steelheads roster features a couple NHL prospects. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, actually. So that's pretty exciting. David Goyette of the Sudbury Wolves and Quentin Musty continue to be a dynamic force for the Pack. They lead the team in points this season with 38. Goyette leads the team in goals with 20. Musty leads the team with assists with 28. Goyette is now tied for second in the league for goals, and Musty is tied for second for assists. The Pack look to build momentum off the victory on Saturday. Tickets are on sale now for Friday's game, and at the Sudbury Arena box office or online, greatersudbury.ca/tickets. Friday's showdown is sandwiched between a number of road games to close out the first half of the season as the Wolves travel to Barrie. Sorry, this press release was before they played Barrie. So anyways, catch all the action right here on CKLU 96.7 FM tomorrow night. If you can't make it to the game, Santa will be there. Christmas ugly sweater day. It'll be a fabulous time. It's always better to be there in person. I know Billy's going to be there in person, so you might run into him. And if you do, you just try not to take up too much of his time. I know he does the odd autograph here and there, but just be very cognizant of his time, as he is very busy at the game, making sure the atmosphere is the way it needs to be, taking care of the sound. So that is your Sudbury Sports, brought to you by SudburySports.com. All things Sudbury Sports. Randy Pascal, that Sudbury Sports guy, and his website. We'll be back with some headlines, Billy, and more after this. Oh, yes. I could see you on the screen, Billy, as I was talking about the autograph thing. So looks like you got a kick out of that. Have you given autographs before? Have you given any out yet?
No, I don't think so.
Now, there's probably a reason for that.
I think like years ago, when it was a big deal to make a CD, and then like your really kind friends would like, make sure you autograph that for me. that was kind of a thing.
Yeah, hoping that someday, that autograph.
It's more of a big laugh.
Before he was famous. For some reason, comments are not looking like they're going to be coming up on the screen today, for no apparent reason other than they just aren't going to work today. It's funny because every day I go, comments are working today, and I'm saying I better stop saying that because they seem to be working every day, but they are on the big screen here, so I will make sure to do my best to include everybody's comments and read them. So we got good morning, David. Good morning, Jerome. Good morning, Stacy. Good morning, Brian. Randy does such a good job. Yes, he does. That's Brian. Randy is a really, he's such a great, I don't think people realize, like in the sporting world they do. You've ever talked to anybody who has played amateur sports in the city and you mention the name Randy Pascal, or if you go anywhere with him to a coffee shop or something, it's incredible. Like everybody knows him. And then, or there's, the degrees of separation. Like he knows someone, for sure, like in 1 degree, and can tell you all kinds of things about them. He's just such a good guy too, on top of that. So really great person to have in the community. And again, I don't know if the community really recognizes how lucky we are to have him. And on that same note, if you go somewhere with Dario Zulich to a coffee shop, it's much the same. You're going to get, all kinds of people just coming up and talking to him, and he's really, really great to just talks to everybody. He doesn't make it seem as if you're taking up his time or anything.
Very approachable.
Very approachable, and that's a good thing too. If you want to go to the game, he's there. He's there at the games, walking up and down the aisles. And he's got a really big announcement he's going to be making in January.
Yeah, that's quite a tease that you did there.
Yeah. So I did mention it. I did mention that I'm not going to say what it is, too. So I'm not lying or anything.
No. Can you be tricked out of it? Can
no.
tease, tortured?
No. I do that to a friend of mine who's listening right now. Isabel, we have this relationship. She knows my personality. So she goes, I know something about this or that or the other, but I'm not going to say anything just because, whatever. And I go, are you sure? Like, it might be good to just talk about it. Then she goes, you're not going to get me this time. I'm like, well, okay, well, that's fine. And then later in the discussion, I say, is it like that thing that you were talking about before? Is there anything to do with that? I keep bringing it back and I say, sometimes it's fine, it's fine to just say whatever. And oftentimes I'm able to be able to get her to say something. And then half the time she sticks to her guns, but we're such good friends. We just have fun with it. But it's like that, am I able to get that out of you?
Yeah. Well, January's not too far away.
And Stacy's saying, do you know what the announcement is? And I do. So I can't say anything. Just because he didn't make it public. And I said, would you like to come on the show when you want to make it public? And you can just come on and we'll talk about it. He said, yep. So right. I don't think it'll be the first time anyone's heard about it when he's on the show. He's not going to leave it to our show to make the big announcement or whatever. I'm sure he's going to have a press conference and I'll be invited or whatever, just like anyone else. But we will have him on to talk about it and have people ask questions to him. And again, I don't know why the comments aren't working. This is just going to boggle my mind the whole time, but I'm going to try to get. It is exciting, yes, for sure. Again, I'm going to try and keep on the comments as we go. So you had a chance to look over the news headlines of the day, Billy?
Yeah, I went through it a little bit last night.
Oh, cool.
Again, I kind of skim. It's a bad habit where I don't like read word for word.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna get walloped on that one day. That's
well, it is. I know, but at least in this format, it's fine because one of our viewers will just call us out, which is great, right? They'll say,
"Perfect."
Perfect.
Until I get there,
thanks for trying.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, thanks for trying, Billy and AJ, but this is the fact. And we're like, okay, thanks for keeping us on our toes. So first thing is, I'm sure a lot of people were wondering because we're expecting a lot of snow today, if the buses would be running, and the buses in Sudbury are running. Espanola and Massey are running, but on Manitoulin, they're canceled this morning. So I know there's a lot of probably happy young people on Manitoulin that the buses are not running today.
Yeah, that was always a big, exciting thing in the morning when get a snow day.
I know.
Laurentian's new interim president to be paid nearly $340K per year.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about that sometimes, like salaries and that's kind of because I think that's sort of probably 50-50 in terms of like public funding, private funding those like Laurentian,
yes,
post-secondary schools in general.
Yep.
Somewhere around there. Because
it's a mixture, right? There's government funding for them. Then there's philanthropists that donate money to, like the land Laurentian is on was donated by, somebody who owned it, to be nice, to say, okay, you don't have to buy the land. Here it is. Same with the hospital. Same with Science North. I'm going to say the Fielding family, but I could be wrong. It's a family in Sudbury, so I don't know. But they donated the land. So there's that. And then that's why there was such a big stink when they weren't allowing that one couple. They weren't selling off the one portion and stuff. Like, it wasn't your land even to begin with. It was given to you. Like, so the way you treat it, to the public at least, it seemed really weird,
Yeah.
And then it becomes theirs, and then they can sell it if they want or whatever for money. And it's so there's that. There's the government money. There's people that donate. There's, they can raise money through different means.
Yeah. I'll just go down the list here. So Troy Crowder, former NHLer and Sudbury political candidate, guilty of fraud.
No.
Apparently.
That's crazy. He ran for the Conservatives in Ontario. Apparently the former leader of the party, wanted him to run, so handpicked him, and he ran, and he didn't win. But then he ran for mayor the first year or the second year. Brian Bigger I think it was the second year. He was already in for a term. And then there was like 12 people running, and he came fifth in that. But he was found guilty of fraud. He forged his wife's signature on some insurance documents, apparently. Now he's under house arrest, and he's got to pay it back. So we'll maybe dive into a little bit more of that.
Yeah, and then let's see. And then we have Laurentian Senate condemns past LU leaders, calls for an inquiry.
Yes.
And that, I imagine we'll touch on that one too.
I believe so, yes. Resolution especially condemns most recent president, Robert Hache, which is interesting. Most especially condemns him. I don't know if I would especially condemn him, but
yeah, there was a section, again, just my brief sort of reading. It did kind of share the blame with the other ones as well too.
Yeah, which is right, because it's not his. He came in already like that. The movie with Jim Carrey we were talking about. Now the name just
right.
Dick and Jane.
Fun with Dick and Jane. Yeah.
Fun with Dick and Jane. So a couple comments here I just want to get to. Your Facebook page won't let me share when I can share any other people. Oh. On any other page. I wonder if our new mayor has anything to do with your problems. I don't know. You never know. He does have ties, like national ties. It'd be easy for him to, send off a quick email to anyone nationally in CSIS and whatever, and they'd just right away do whatever. I don't know. But okay.
He's probably a busier guy than...
I think so, than worrying about this show.
That, yeah.
I hope so. Then I voted for him twice, Shane says. Paul the 5. So...
No, I think he's talking about Troy Crowder.
Oh, Troy Crowder. Okay. Yeah. So making sure the comments are coming with the right stories. Yeah, I would have thought that too, just with the particular party belonging to. Sometimes it's close. You don't sometimes agree 100% with a candidate or a party. And I think that's the case with myself. And you got to vote for the one that's closest, at least, which is sometimes hard to do.
Yeah, that's often the case. And then we got how Bill C-21 turned from banning handguns to hunting guns.
CBC.
Yeah, and even antique cannons.
So the hand-me-down things you get, that are passed on generation to generation, those will be banned as well. Imagine that, a family heirloom that your great-grandfather handed down from World War I or whatever, and now you're not allowed to have that anymore. Anyways, crazy.
Yeah. What do they want you to turn it in, or is it just the kind of thing that you can't, there's limited things you can do with these. You can't sell them, or I don't know.
Yeah. There's laws. The laws are pretty darn strict, but one of them is the government is not allowed by law to just take away your gun, banned or not. They can't just take it away. They have to buy it from you. That's why you hear buyback. You know, they're going to buy your gun. It's because that's the legality of it. So they'll offer you something, but still, like, let's say your great-great-grandfather, you have this heirloom and it's up on your, over your fireplace or something. And they're going to give you $30 for it. Like, or whatever, $100, even $1,000. It doesn't matter. Like, that's important to you and your family. But anyways, that's our deep dive for today. If we're able to get to that, I have a couple videos of that to share. So we have time at the end.
And there was that fire. I didn't go into it. No injuries at New Sudbury residential fire. So that's good.
Huh. Now, Stacy's saying as well, she's been shadow banned since linking, I think she's meaning linking us with a letter. So she sent a link. So then she's been shadow banned since doing that, which I can see.
It is a thing.
Oh, yeah. And Mark said, hey, he's a hunter. Yeah, I think so. I think Mark said it, but I don't think he's going to say anything against his party and any kind of things. He'll just use whatever they tell him. If they say you only hunt with a slingshot now, he'll be like, okay.
Yeah,
sucks.
I don't know. I've seen a lot across the parties condemn that. So
yeah, you're right. Actually, we're going to get to that too. You're right.
NDP guy,
Charlie Angus.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he spoke out against it.
Oh, wow. You'd think he'd be, well, again, because he look at the area he's in. If he ever said anything against that, he'd be out in 2 seconds. I think ideologically he's all for it, just because of the party he belongs to. That's what ideologically, that's what the party.
Everybody's got lines in the sand.
For sure. So Miles says, no, say it ain't so. Troy ain't so. From a famous Black Sox scandal, a kid said Shoeless Joe. Okay. Miles, you're starting to sound like Ron McLean, your old friend. That's interesting. But yeah, so poor Troy Crowder. We'll get to that and just break down a couple of the details. We won't spend too much time on it. Although it is in politics, and it's always there's always spin-off from the discussion when you talk about a politician who kind of gets caught with their hand in the cookie jar or whatever, and it's a time to have that conversation, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
The no injuries in New Sudbury residential fire on Wednesday. That was yesterday. We shared that right as it was happening as well. And so the person was in the house, and luckily, because it's our first story, we'll just kind of start with that and work our way back. The person was in the house when it started happening, but they got out safe. Obviously, the house is a write-off, and that was right off LaSalle, near LaSalle and between just as halfway up LaSalle from Notre Dame. There's those townhouses on the right-hand side. It's just in a school, a French school. It's just right around there. So, good thing that there's no injuries. Few details, but the deputy fire chief says there's no injuries, which is always something that we're concerned about with fires. So let's start with this.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Terrible time to have a fire, though.
It is very cold outside. Laurentian Senate condemns past LU leaders, calls for inquiry. Now, Heidi Ulrichsen, which I really appreciate her reporting, she's been really good on this story. She's been following this from the beginning, and she is thorough. Like, talk about Randy Pascal with sports. She's definitely like that with this Laurentian thing that's going on. And I find she doesn't put spin in it. Like, she's actually reporting on it. So I appreciate that as a journalist, or just journalistic integrity. She's just saying what's coming out in a journalistic way. I can't even tell what her kind of beliefs are. And that's the best thing you can ask for in a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
So resolution especially condemns LU's most recent president, Robert Hache, for misleading Senate about need for CCAA filing. In the wake of the release Ontario Auditor General Bonnie Lysyc's report on Laurentian University last month, the University Senate has passed a resolution condemning LU's past leadership. With the same resolution, the Laurentian Senate also joined in calls for a public inquiry, which we all are in agreement with that, correct, Billy? The last time I asked you?
Yeah, I think everybody, well, it seems that they want that.
So just a couple comments.
You're
and
not
then we'll get on.
everybody.
So Miles says he doesn't want to be compared with Ron McLean. So I appreciate that. And that was basically knowing that. And I was a bit teasing a bit. And Stacy says she was on LaSalle and saw it, and it was on Madeline Street. Exactly. Madeline Street off LaSalle, the fire. So here, Heidi Ulrichsen talking about the Senate basically condemning the past leadership of Laurentian, especially Robert Hache, but calling also for a public inquiry if warranted. So I don't know there. They gave themselves a little thing to get out, a little doorway. Laurentian Senate also joined the calls for a public inquiry and if warranted, criminal investigations into the senior administration's ruinous mismanagement of Laurentian University from 2010 to 2021. Strong words or not?
That's getting serious, yeah.
Criminal investigations. Well, does it warrant that? Like it says, and if warranted, do you think that is a possibility of being warranted? Criminal investigations into?
Well, I mean, this is the like the whole rule of law thing is people, until proven guilty kind of thing. So it would be hard to say, but I think that's probably why they want to do the public inquiry and just see how bad it was.
And I think that's the steps.
Like they've been going through the minutes, and I guess they determined that there's been some less than honest statements to the Senate. But I'm sure a lot of people are sort of trying to cover their butts right now too. So there's going to be a lot of hot potato playing.
Now it says the resolution specifically condemns former LU President Dominic Giroux. But in the headline, did you see?
Yeah, that's
odd.
What tricked me. So the resolution, is that different from the, what was the word that they used in the headline?
Down here? Well, the headline was resolution.
Huh.
So it says Laurentian Senate condemns past LU leaders, calls for inquiry. Okay, that's a good headline. Subheadline, resolution especially condemns LU's most recent president, Robert Hache, for misleading the Senate about the CCAA filing. But now, if you look here, you just read it. The resolution specifically condemns former LU President Dominic Giroux, former interim LU President Pierre Zundel, former LU President Robert Hache, former LU Vice President, and it goes on. And it starts, but isn't that interesting how they just put Robert Hache in the subheading? So if you were skimming, like most people do, just the headlines, that's all they would see. Very interesting. So I said no spin or whatever, and so maybe a little, Dominic Giroux could be a super powerful force here in town, and people in the media could know that for some reason too, right? It's a small town, circles. If you say too many bad things about somebody, there's repercussions for that. So I don't know. Yeah. But anyways, it says here in the story, the resolution specifically condemns former LU president. And why wouldn't it? He was the president for most of the time from 2010 to 2021. So 2010 to 2017 he was. It's a good chunk of it. It also condemns former Laurentian Board of Governors Chair Claude Lacroix for his quote unquote for his misgovernment of this university. Hache, who was terminated without cause by LU earlier this fall, is part of the university's plan of arrangement under the Companies Creditors Arrangement Act, CCAA insolvency restructuring process received special mention in the Senate resolution. So maybe this is why it received special mention. So I guess that is a founded subheading then. And here it is. Senate especially condemns ex-President Robert Hashley for misleading Senate about the necessity for creditor protection and insolvency proceedings under the Companies Creditors Arrangement Act. The motion reads. The resolution was brought forward by Senate member David Leeson. Go ahead.
Yeah, you wonder how many, like if this is really like a one-off situation, or if it's like there's a bigger problem and this is like the one that popped kind of thing. And, and I guess that's something that the inquiry would probably be beneficial for, is if you have those kind of teetering somewhere in the, close to this situation where there is some less than good things being done, at the, internally, there's definitely motivation to clean up the act kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, definitely needs a lot of cleaning going on over there. And I guess in a related story, we could go to the new president, the interim president, and the salary. It's close to your and my salary, so I don't know what to say too much about it. Laurentian's new interim president to be paid nearly $340,000 per year under the secondment agreement. Sheila Embleton to be paid $316,000 salary from York U. Yeah, plus another $24,000 for taking on Laurentian role.
Well, that doesn't seem like a good deal. She's got her regular
job
salary, and then for taking on twice as much work, she gets another $24,000.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense in that way. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Under the terms of the secondment agreement with their home universities, both Laurentian University's incoming interim president and Prevost will be paid substantially more than their most recent predecessors. Laurentian announced last week that Dr. Sheila Embleton will be starting as Laurentian's interim president January 21st. Dr. Brenda Brower will be starting as Laurentian's interim Prevost on the same date. This after Laurentian finally exited creditor protection. Both the interim president and Prevost are being seconded from large Ontario universities, Embleton from York, Brower from Queen's, until permanent appointments can be made for the top jobs. That is true, eh? They're doing double duty here.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't even have an opinion on that. Then, like
you have to pay me a lot to take that job right now too. So
wow. But again, you can all. I don't know. Could be somewhat easy in some ways too, because what's really expected of you in some ways, it's like the dust is still all over the place.
Well, I don't know. Maybe that's what that guy who got targeted there thought. It's like, he's just the new interim. And then he gets specifically mentioned in the desire for an inquiry.
Yeah, for sure. Laurentian seems like a metaphor for Sudbury Council of the past. I kind of agree on that one for sure. Definitely a topic of conversation. So I will see what the new president, when they actually hire a president, what the salary will be. I know we talked about salaries in our city, and some are just out of this world. The one being the public health, what's Penny Sutcliffe with public health in Sudbury. She made over $800,000. Was it last year? Which makes you scratch your head, many ways.
Yeah, I can't remember the details of that.
Yeah, it was over 800,000. So, which was like what, almost double what Anthony Fauci, who's the highest paid employee in the United States made. So it just makes you quite, well, how is that even possible? How does that? And all they said was that she did a lot of overtime and missed a lot of family vacations because of COVID, which we all had to do. But anyways, speaking of stuff like this, former NHLer Troy Crowder was found guilty in Sudbury Court Wednesday on fraud charges involving his ex-wife. So I did talk about a little bit of the details because I did read this. He forged his wife's name on some insurance documents, found guilty. Forging his wife's signature on an insurance claim.
Wife or ex-wife?
Ex-wife, sorry. It says forging his wife's signature on an insurance claim in the story. But then it says charges involving his ex-wife.
Right.
The incident happened during their separation. So there you go. So while she was his wife, she is now ex-wife. The incident happened during their separation when she didn't know the claim had been made. Crowder was courted to be a candidate by the provincial Tories, as we talked about, 2018, by former leader Patrick Brown, who himself was replaced by Doug Ford. Crowder finished second in the race that Jamie West won, then entered a crowded mayoral race, coming fifth. So Wednesday, the Ontario Court of Justice Greg Rogers didn't mince words when sentencing the former NHLer. This is more than a breach of protocol. This is a breach of integrity, Rogers said. He was handed an 8-month conditional sentence with the first 4 months under house arrest, followed by 12 months probation. He was also ordered to pay his ex-wife $45,000 and change and another $11,000 and change back to Aviva Insurance Company. Those funds must be returned by the end of his probation period. Crowder said to the court, quote unquote, "I am very remorseful." But to CTV News, he did decline an interview at their request. So that's Troy Crowder, found guilty of fraud yesterday, in court here in Sudbury. So let's see. Deep dive time, I believe. Is there anything else we needed to go over before?
I don't know. Is the deep dive going to be the guns?
'Tis.
All right, then I guess we're there.
All righty. So here, let's just I have a video ready to go with it and what happened to it. Did I close it? Hope not. There it is. So this is, as you know, they made amendments to the Bill C-21. They got so many bills and so many things. I'm trying to remember all these things that are going on. They are just working really hard to change a lot of things in some very scratch your head type of ways lately. And this is one of them. And as we know, Carey Price chimed in as well on this, on, I believe it was Twitter. Did you see it on Twitter, Billy? Because I know you're a Twitter guy.
Did.
No?
What did it say?
Well, basically, he said he's a hunter and he does not want to get political, but he doesn't agree with what they're doing. He said, "I love my family, I love my country, and I care for my neighbor. I'm not a criminal or a threat to society. What Justin Trudeau is trying to do is unjust. I support this gun lobby group." It's a big acronym on Facebook, "to keep my hunting tools. Thank you for listening to my opinion." So that was a kind of a soft statement, wouldn't you say? He just kind of wanted to say,
Yeah,
disagree.
yeah.
He didn't come
I like
out.
the way you wrapped that up.
Yeah, he just said, "Thank you
Well,
for
thank you.
listening to my opinion." And then the media went to town on him, basically, calling him all kinds of things. And then the Montreal Canadiens even came out and said, well, because of the timing of it. Well, this is the thing. The government is trying to pass this bill at the anniversary of what happened at Polytechnique with the massacre there. Well, they're putting the bill through at that time, but then they blamed Carey Price for being insensitive for making the statement during the time of the anniversary of the Polytechnique anniversary massacre. So
Sounds
that's
like
the way the
something to
press,
come right with you.
the press rolls like that. They blame him Meanwhile, they're putting through the bill. If he had an opinion about it, he'd have to wait till it was passed, so that way he didn't offend anybody by saying the opinion during the anniversary. You know what I mean? Like, give me a break. It's just, anyways. So the press didn't like Carey Price. They love Carey Price, other than when he has an opinion that doesn't agree with the press. They love him. He's one of the best goalies ever to exist. Montreal Canadiens, one of the most storied franchises in Canadian history, and all kinds of fans, Canadian fans. So, but he crosses the line if he says he likes to hunt and you're taking away his hunting rifle. So here is an advocate for a hunters association. We'll just check in what he's got to say, and it's going to try and play an ad, because CBC now is allowed to play ads and make extra money, even though they're a publicly funded institution. Here we go.
We're surprised and not.
Yeah, there I got to cancel the ad, and I got to replay it. There you go.
We're surprised and not surprised. The government has been signaling the desire to have changes related to things like magazine capacity. But I think we were surprised at how it was done at committee stage by amendment without consultation. So I think the stated intent is that it is about public safety. It's about reducing gun violence. And often throughout these pieces of legislation, there are things in there that are related to gun smuggling and illegal activity. And I think that those things are required and needed. I think that sometimes, there seems to be a trend and a desire to include other things that maybe are a little bit more flashy, that are a more, a direct thing that people can see and that they catch headlines. Whenever a government jumps to a ban, that you, especially when it's introduced at the committee stage, so late in the parliamentary process, there's not opportunity for good dialogue. This is something that was introduced, and really talked about handguns and other things that are unrelated to hunting in this country. And so we really haven't had the dialogue on this. And I think that that's the number one step that we need to take. And I think ultimately, we as an organization and as a hunting community don't believe that banning firearms like semi-automatics with detachable magazines is a prudent move to achieve the kind of public policy that we need to curb gun violence and deal with the public safety issues that are a reality in many communities across this country.
So there you go. So any thoughts on that at all, Billy?
It's pretty interesting to me that, again, he sort of points out that the last minute amendments and, it seems a little over the top, like that they would have people that would be able to recognize that. I don't think this is going to go through, but, and hopefully
you don't think
that's
so?
correct.
You don't think it's going to pass? Okay.
But
we're one of the most regulated
I think
countries.
it's like too much too fast.
Yeah.
And
we're already one of the most regulated countries towards guns in the world, right? So more regulation, is there a direct connection between crime and the guns they're specifically talking about? Like in crimes, do they use rifles a lot of times?
That's the thing that I think is going to kind of kill this bill, is they just added those things on that really, it almost like people really scratching their heads going, you start to think about it, and then you go a little deeper, and then you look into those questions, and I think it seems like the answer to those questions is no, that those things aren't really used in crime. So
yeah, well, I know Miles was chiming in about the Montreal media roasting Carey Price because that's what the media is political, right? It has an angle. It's on the left of the spectrum. The media, they always talk about the left media. It just is what it is. Like, and you'll see that when guns are usually something that people on the right are for, because they believe it's our rights to bear arms, to be able to hunt, to be able to, you shouldn't take away by taking that away, you're taking away a right per se, right? So someone on the right, two different kinds of right. On the right means you're trying to keep your rights. On the left, you're so progressive, you're like, let's just change everything. And, rights or no rights. Progression is, in my view, digression. A lot of these progressive things are digression.
Well,
because
it's a weird time, and that was one of the weird, like the narrative about Ukraine is, well, we got to get them guns to save their democracy, to save their country, and
but we need to take away
you
your
see the
guns.
political spectrum kind of switch around
sure.
at that level. So
it's interesting. So and at the same time, they want to beef up the police and what their rights are, and then take away the individual's rights and what they have to do. So if you just say, if you had just little benums and each one represented a right to do something, whether it's anything, a right. I have the right to, let's free speech. I have the right to bear arms. I have the right to, you can go on and on and on. So, and if you picture each right was a little thing, like a character for the Monopoly board, and you had all your rights, and the government was just going to take one away and say, no, it's for your best. I'm just taking away that right. So people on the right are like, no, that's not a way to deal with things, is taking away people's rights to do things, and if you look in the past, the by taking away a right, does it actually make the claim? If you say you're going to be safer by us taking away this right, is there a direct correlation to that? And in this case, let's just look at this. Is there a direct correlation and Miles says we don't need semi-automatic rifles to hunt. And I'm sure a hunter I would just ask you, Miles, are you a hunter? And I'm sure the answer is no, because if you were, you would say, yes, it kind of does help to have a semi-automatic when you're hunting. I have a single loaded.
I guess if a bear is coming at you.
Yeah, I have a single loaded shotgun, and I got to put one thing in, shoot it, open it up, take out the shell, put another one in, and fire it. And oh my goodness, what if I just missed the animal, that loud noise, and then I got to do all these things and put another shell in? I mean, just that argument alone, I'm just going to leave it at that. But unfortunately, the block, and then he says that it's going to go through anyways because of the NDP, the coalition they have, it's going to go through, which I do believe too. I do, but I believe you need to kind of stand up against things you don't believe in. And in this case, there's quite a few people, and there's a lot of associations built and advocacy groups because they realize there's a strong push to take these away. There always has been in history. And I think that's why the people in North America have these rights to begin with, is because in history they learned that you have to have individuals have the rights in order to have that, because it's an equalizer of power. The person with the gun has the power. Now I'm not a terrorist. I'm not saying I'm not a far right extremist. I'm not. This is historically speaking. Stalin, they disarmed their population. Mao disarmed the population. Anyone who was a dictator, leader, tyrant, whatever, always disarmed their population. And why did they do that? Why? Okay, that's all I'm saying. And that's why we have the rights. That's why it was so important to begin with, that our citizens, that way, because all people are supposed to be equal. So if I'm equal, I'm supposed to have the right to protect myself. I should have a right to protect myself. Like, why should I have to call 911, let's say, and wait for a police officer to come from 10 miles away to come and protect me when I need to protect myself right now? I can't call 911 and wait for that protection. And my family, I'll let my family be harmed, idea. So again, this is a huge issue, and it's hard, especially in Canada, to have this conversation. I remember I lived in the United States for 2 years, came home, and I tried telling people that was my theory because I didn't understand the political climate in Canada. I was like, yeah, I think everyone should have a gun, actually. Oh my goodness, their faces, their jaws dropped to the floor. They went a few shades white, pale, and they're like, what? Guns are evil. I was like, oh, really? Where is that coming from? You know what I mean? So we as Canadians are very, unless you're a hunter, we're very worried about the whole idea of that, and they're dangerous and whatever. But again, the conversation is also being tried to be shut down because when you just talk about it, the idea of why did we have it in the first place? You know what I mean? Was this such a bad place for many years? Did we not have a lot of prosperous, really great years as North America with the idea that all of these people had that right? You know, just recently we've started to have some nefarious things going on that included those things. But other countries, I would argue, that don't have guns have just as bad of murder rates, and they just use bats instead. If you really want to off somebody, you're going to use whatever you can grab. You don't need a gun. And it's the hate that's in your heart, not the weapon that's in your hand. And so you can just coin that. It just came to me just now. Billy, make sure we write that down.
All right. I think it's recorded here.
It is. So unfortunately, we are out of time. And there's lots of comments, so I appreciate everyone to just kind of look those over. Last words, Billy?
Yeah, sorry, don't really have any today.
Okay, well, you're back.
Sorry
What? You're back next Tuesday?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that was our little bit of a deep dive today. We'll have to keep our finger, I was going to say on the trigger, on the pulse to see what's happening with that amendment to that law and see if people are able to thwart it or it's going to go through. We'll have to see. Either way, it'll have implications on Canadians. So thanks for joining me today, Billy, on the show.
Thank you.
We'll see you next Tuesday, more than likely. And
Sounds good.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us and making this show what it is. Sorry I wasn't able to get the comments up on the screen today. Out of my control. Had nothing to do with that. But thank you so much for listening and watching. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow, right here. And have a happy and safe Thursday, everyone. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.